All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're taking a deep dive into some cars that, well, let's just say you might want to think twice about.
Yeah, think twice, maybe even three times.
Exactly. We're talking about 17 cars that Consumer Reports is waving a big red flag at. And me, this isn't just going to be some dry list. We're going to dig into the details, the real world stories, and maybe even uncover some surprises along the way.
Surprises indeed. I mean, you might be shocked to see some luxury brands on this list.
Oh, yeah, we're talking big names, big price tags, and unfortunately, big problems.
That's right. And that's what makes this so fascinating. It really challenges the idea that you always get what you pay for.
Okay, so before we get to the juicy stuff, let's lay some groundwork. How does a car even end up on this worst cars list? What are the criteria?
Well, Consumer Reports takes a pretty comprehensive approach. They look at reliability ratings, of course, but they also factor in average repair costs, what owners are saying in surveys, any safety concerns, and even something called depreciation.
Depreciation. Now, that's a word that might make some folks cringe, especially if they've ever bought a new car.
It's that sinking feeling when you realize your shiny new ride is losing value faster than you can say car loan.
Ouch, yeah. Not to mention the stress of constantly dealing with breakdowns and repairs.
Exactly. Imagine you're cruising along on a road trip, maybe singing along to your favorite tunes, and suddenly, boom, your transmission decides to take a permanent vacation.
Or you're stuck in rush hour traffic and your car starts acting like it's possessed by electrical gremlins.
It's definitely not the kind of adventure you signed up for. And those repair bills, they can really pile up.
Okay, I'm ready for the drama. Let's start unveiling these automotive offenders. And at number 17, we have the Chevrolet Blazer.
Now, the Blazer might seem tempting at first glance. It's got that bold, sporty design, lots of tech features, and that familiar Chevrolet badge.
Yeah, but it sounds like there's more to the story. What's lurking beneath that shiny exterior?
Well, the data from Consumer Reports paints a different picture. The Blazer, particular models from 2020 and 2021, has a history of engine stalling, electrical gremlins, and overall, it just doesn't score well on the reliability front.
And then there's the fuel efficiency, or lack thereof. 20 miles per gallon isn't exactly sipping fuel.
Right, and all those unexpected repairs, potentially higher insurance premiums because of safety concerns, and that rapid depreciation, it all adds up.
Yikes. Okay, moving on to number 16, we have the Lincoln Aviator. Now, Lincoln is a luxury brand, so you'd expect a certain level of, quality.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, the Aviator, even with a price tag that can reach over $80,000, doesn't quite live up to those luxurious expectations.
Wow, $80,000. That's a lot of money for a car that might leave you stranded on the side of the road. What are people saying about the Aviator? What are the main problems?
Reliability is a big one. Models from 2020, 2021, and even 2022 have been hit with a wave of recalls, and we're not talking about minor things. We're talking electrical system problems, faulty airbags. It's pretty alarming.
No kidding. And to make matters worse, it gets even worse gas mileage than the Blazer, a measly 18 miles per gallon. For a luxury SUV, that's rough.
Absolutely. And what's even more frustrating is that many owners have reported that the performance just doesn't match up to its rivals, like the BMW X5 or the Audi Q7. So you're paying a premium price, but not getting that premium experience.
Right. It's like buying a first-class tenant and ending up in the middle seat in economy. Not a good feeling.
Not at all.
Okay, at number 15, we have another luxury contender, the Volvo XC60. Volvos are known for their safety, so what's the issue here?
You're right. Safety is a hallmark of Volvo. But the XC60 seems to stumble when it comes to reliability. Just the 2024 model alone has already faced 3 major recalls.
3 recalls in 1 year. That's not a good track record. What kind of problems are we talking about?
Transmission issues, engine stalling, those seem to be the most common complaints. And those fancy driver assist features, the ones that are supposed to make driving safer, have been known to malfunction.
So not exactly inspiring confidence, huh? On top of those issues, what about fuel efficiency and maintenance costs for the XC60?
Well, the fuel economy is about average for its class, around 22 miles per gallon. But again, for a luxury car with a price tag north of $50,000, you'd expect more. And as for maintenance costs, let's just say they can add up quickly. Volvos are not known for being cheap to fix.
So a beautiful and safe car, but potentially a real money pit in the long run. Okay, number 14 takes us into the electric vehicle world with the Rivian R1T.
The R1T, it's a head-turner for sure with its futuristic design and those off-road chops, but it's also a relatively new player in the EV game.
And new sometimes means a few kinks to work out, right?
That's right, and the R1T is no exception. Owners have reported everything from software glitches to problems with the suspension.
And getting those problems fixed can be a challenge with EVs, right? Especially with newer brands. Finding qualified technicians can be tricky.
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Rivian uses a unique connector, and their charging network is still pretty limited compared to, say, Tesla's supercharger network. So planning those long road trips might require some extra effort.
Right, and those charging stops can add a lot of time to your journey.
They can. And let's not forget the price tag. The R1T starts at over $70,000, which puts it in a pretty premium category.
It does, and for that price, you'd expect a certain level of, I don't know, polish and reliability.
You would. And while the R1T has a lot going for it, those early reports of issues and the limited service network might give potential buyers pause.
All right, so the Rivian R1T, a truck pushing the boundaries of EV tech, but maybe not quite ready for prime time just yet. Up next, at number 13, we have another EV, the Polestar 2.
Now, this one tries to blend the lines between a sedan and a hatchback, you see. You get that raised seating position like a crossover. It's stylish, no doubt about it.
But there's always a but, right? What are the downsides of the Polestar 2?
One of the most frequent complaints is about the infotainment system, which runs on Google software. It's apparently prone to glitches, which could be frustrating in a car that relies so heavily on technology.
Right, it's like having your smartphone freeze up just when you need it the most.
Exactly. And it could be a real distraction when you're driving. What about the range? How does it stack up against other EVs in its class?
That's a good question. Range anxiety is a real thing for EV owners.
It is. The EPA estimates a range of 270 miles for the Polestar 2. It isn't bad, but it does fall behind competitors like the Tesla Model 3, which can go over 300 miles on a single charge.
So not exactly a range leader.
No, not quite. And have there been any safety concerns with the Polestar 2?
I've heard some rumblings about battery issues.
You heard right. Models from 2021 and 2022 were actually recalled because of battery problems that could potentially cause the entire high-voltage system to shut down.
Whoa, that sounds pretty scary. Imagine cruising down the highway and suddenly everything just goes dark.
Not a scenario you want to encounter. And it's worth noting that repair costs for EVs like this can be quite high, and with a limited number of service centers, getting those repairs done might not be a quick and easy process.
All right, so the Polestar 2, another EV with a lot of promise, but maybe some kinks to iron out before it can be considered truly reliable. At number 12, we have a vehicle that screams adventure, the Ford Bronco.
Ah, the Bronco. It definitely grabs your attention with its retro styling and those rugged off-road capabilities. But just like some of the other cars we've discussed, it has its share of reliability concerns.
Yeah, this one seems to have disappointed some Ford fans. What are the biggest complaints about the Bronco?
Recalls have affected several models, including the 2021 to 2023 Bronco Sport. One particularly concerning recall involved a cracked fuel injector, which could potentially lead to a fire.
Wow, a fire hazard. That's a serious safety issue. Beyond the recalls, what other problems have owners reported?
Transmission issues, noisy engines, those seem to be fairly common. And some of the V6 engines have even been known to have valve train issues, which can really hamper performance.
So not exactly the smooth and powerful ride you'd expect from a vehicle designed for off-road adventures.
Not quite. And what about the interior? Does it live up to the Bronco's rugged exterior?
That's a good question. You'd expect it to be, tough and durable.
You would, but a lot of reviewers have criticized the interior materials as saying they feel cheap. And there have been reports of rattles and excessive wear and tear showing up pretty early on.
That's disappointing, especially considering that the Bronco can get pretty pricey, with some models going for over $80,000. And to top it all off, it guzzles gas like it's going out of style, averaging a dismal 17 miles per gallon.
It's like a thirsty beast.
All right, so the Ford Bronco, a vehicle that looks the part but maybe doesn't quite deliver on its promise of reliability and refinement. At number 11, we have the Buick Encore.
Now, the Encore is often praised for its comfortable ride, spacious cabin, and decent cargo space. It's a compact SUV that seems well-suited for city driving.
But I have a feeling there's a but coming. What are the drawbacks of the Encore?
Well, that 1.4-liter turbocharged engine, while fuel-efficient, feels seriously underpowered. It struggles to accelerate, especially when you're trying to merge or pass on the highway.
Not exactly the kind of performance you'd want in a city car where you need to be able to zip in and out of traffic.
You're right. And what about reliability? Have the Encore had its share of problems?
That's what we're here to find out.
Indeed. And unfortunately, it seems like it has. Owners have reported issues with the transmission, air conditioning, and the electrical system. Those can lead to some hefty repair bills.
And I understand there have been some safety recalls as well.
Yes, several. Some involving powertrain issues and others related to airbag and seatbelt safety.
So a mixed bag for the Buick Encore. Comfortable and fuel efficient, but potentially lacking in power and long-term reliability. Coming in at number 10 is a vehicle that's all about power and performance, the Dodge Durango.
Ah, the Durango. It's a midsize SUV known for its bold looks and in some trims, its downright ferocious performance. It boasts best-in-class towing capacity and can go from 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds.
Sounds impressive. But we all know that with great power comes great responsibility, or in this case, potentially great problems. What are the downsides of the Durango?
Well, one of the biggest drawbacks is fuel economy, especially with the V8 engine. You're looking at a rather dismal 15 miles per gallon average.
Ouch. That's going to hurt at the pump. And that's not all, right?
Not quite. There have been reports of engine failures and problems with the exhaust manifold.
Engine failures, that's a major red flag. What about safety? Does the Durango live up to modern standards?
Unfortunately, the Durango's safety scores are below average, and it lacks some key active safety features that are becoming more and more common in other vehicles. It's like it's stuck in the past when it comes to safety.
So, a powerful and capable SUV, but one that comes with some serious compromises when it comes to fuel efficiency and safety. Let's move on to number 9, the Jeep Wrangler.
The Wrangler, an iconic vehicle practically synonymous with off-road adventure. But as we've seen with other vehicles on this list, that ruggedness can sometimes come at a price.
What are the main reliability concerns with the Wrangler? What should potential buyers be aware of?
One of the most common complaints is about the steering. Owners have described it as vague and wandering, which makes highway driving feel less than secure. And then there's the firm suspension, which can make for a pretty bumpy ride on paved roads.
So, not exactly the most comfortable daily driver, and I understand there have been some significant recalls as well.
Yes, the Wrangler has been recalled for a variety of issues, including faulty fuel lines, airbag defects, and even structural cracks in some models.
Structural cracks, that's a pretty serious issue, especially for a vehicle that's designed to handle rough terrain.
It is. And what about fuel efficiency? Is the Wrangler as thirsty as its reputation suggests?
I have a feeling it doesn't exactly sip fuel.
You're right, it can be pretty thirsty, averaging around 19 miles per gallon, which is one of the worst in its class.
All right, so the Jeep Wrangler, a true off-road icon, but one that might require some trade-offs in terms of on-road comfort, reliability, and fuel efficiency. Moving on to number 8, we have the Jaguar F-Pace.
Now, the F-Pace definitely has a sleek design, a luxurious interior, and a powerful engine. But as we've seen with other luxury vehicles on this list, appearances can be deceiving.
What are the major reliability concerns with the F-Pace? What should potential buyers watch out for?
Electrical problems, particularly with the infotainment system, seem to be a recurring theme. And there have also been reports of excessive oil consumption and failing fuel pumps, even in newer models.
And I understand there was a pretty serious recall as well.
Yes, Jaguar issued a recall for faulty brake systems, which is obviously a major safety concern.
Definitely not something you want to mess around with. And on top of those reliability issues, what about the ownership experience? Is it as luxurious as the F-Pace's badge would suggest?
Not necessarily. Many owners have expressed frustration with the constant need for repairs and the overall feeling that the car is more trouble than it's worth.
All right, so the Jaguar F-Pace, a stylish and capable SUV, but one that might not deliver the peace of mind and hassle-free ownership experience that you'd expect from a luxury vehicle. Up next at number 7, we have the Nissan Frontier.
Now, the Frontier's been around for a long time and has a loyal following among truck enthusiasts, but it's also had its share of ups and downs in terms of reliability.
What is the main problem areas for the Frontier? Which years should potential buyers be wary of?
Models from 2005 to 2010 and 2013 to 2018 are particularly problematic. We're talking transmission failures, engine issues, and defective airbags.
So a mixed bag for the Nissan Frontier. Capable, but potentially problematic, especially if you're looking at older models.
Exactly. And with production of the Frontier slowing down, it might be worth considering other options in the midsize truck market.
Good point. All right, let's move on to number 6, the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid.
Now, this one seems like it should be a winner, right? A spacious minivan with a fuel-efficient hybrid powertrain. But as we've seen, sometimes things aren't always what they seem.
What's the catch with the Pacifica Hybrid?
On paper, it sounds great, especially for families. Save money on gas, be a little kinder to the environment, but unfortunately, it's been plagued by some pretty serious reliability issues.
What kind of problems are we talking about here?
The 2021 model in particular had a lot of problems. The EV battery, the in-car electronics, the charging system. Owners were reporting frozen screens, malfunctioning battery warmers, and charging issues that were often difficult to fix.
So, not exactly the smooth and seamless experience you'd expect from a hybrid.
Not at all. And I understand there was a pretty major recall too, right?
Yes, the 2023 model was recalled because of a defective wiring connector in the transmission. It could potentially cause the engine to stall or even shut off unexpectedly.
Not a good situation to be in, especially if you're driving with your family.
Definitely not. And given Chrysler's already, let's say, colorful reputation for dependability, the Pacific and Hybrid might be one to approach with caution.
I'd say that's a fair assessment. While the fuel efficiency and the whole eco-friendly aspect are appealing, the potential for costly repairs and the uncertainty surrounding its long-term reliability might make some people think twice.
It seems like we're seeing a pattern here. Great ideas, innovative features, but execution and long-term reliability seem to be the stumbling blocks.
You're hitting the nail on the head. That's what makes these deep dives so important. We need to look beyond the marketing hype and the shiny brochures and get into the real-world experiences of owners.
Absolutely. It's all about empowering people to make smart decisions and avoid those costly and frustrating pitfalls that can come with choosing the wrong car.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Are you ready to delve into the next batch of cars to avoid? We're getting closer to the top of the list, and I have a feeling things are about to get even more interesting. All right, so are we ready to jump back into the world of automotive adventures, or should I say misadventures?
Oh, I'm definitely buckled up and ready for more. Hit me with it.
Okay, coming in at number 5, we have a car that's often marketed as an affordable, stylish option. The Volkswagen Jetta.
The Jetta. Yeah, I know a few people who've owned Jettas. It seems like a pretty popular choice.
It has been, especially for folks looking for a compact sedan that's easy on the wallet.
But as we've seen with some other budget-friendly options, those initial savings can sometimes disappear pretty quickly if reliability problems start popping up.
Yeah, that's the catch, isn't it? You save money up front, but then end up spending even more on repairs later on.
So what are the main trouble spots for the Jetta? What should potential buyers be wary of?
Well, it seems like older models, particularly those from 2019 to 2021, have a history of some pretty serious transmission problems.
Transmission problems. Oh, those can be a nightmare. And I've heard some whispers about other concerns with the Jetta's reliability. Anything to that?
There have been, yes, reports of engine stalling, electrical problems. Those can definitely add to the potential headaches and unexpected expenses down the road.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect of car troubles. And speaking of potential headaches, what about safety? How does the Jetta perform in crash tests?
Not as well as you might hope. The crash test ratings are average at best, and there have been several recalls over the years, to address issues like defective fuel lines and airbag malfunctions.
So maybe not the safest bet on the road. And from what I've gathered, the interior isn't exactly luxurious either.
No, not really. Many reviewers have pointed out the Jetta's use of, let's say, budget-friendly materials and a general lack of refinement.
Okay, so the Volkswagen Jetta, a car that might lure you in with its affordable price tag, but could end up costing you more in the long run. Let's shift gears now and head to number 4, where we encounter another luxury contender, the Land Rover Range Rover Sport.
Ah, the Range Rover Sport. It's got that air of sophistication, stylish design, luxurious interior, impressive off-road capabilities.
But it also has a reputation for high maintenance costs, right? And maybe not being the most reliable vehicle on the road.
That's right. You pay a premium price, but you also run the risk of, premium repair bills.
It's like a gamble, isn't it?
It is a bit. The complexity of the Range Rover Sport systems, the technology, all that, it can lead to some pretty eye-watering repair costs if something goes wrong.
Makes sense. Which model years should potential buyers be most wary of? When did the Range Rover Sport take a wrong turn, so to speak?
Models from 2006 to 2008 and 2013 seem to be particularly prone to problems.
What kind of problems?
We're talking about engine issues, transmission troubles, electrical gremlins, the whole shebang.
So a luxurious ride, but one that might come with some serious financial baggage. All right, let's buckle up and head into the top 3. At number 3, we have a car that might surprise some people, the Fiat 500L.
Ah, the 500L. It was marketed as this quirky and affordable option, but it seems like it turned out to be more trouble than it was worth.
It's like that saying, all that glitters is not gold. Or in this case, all that's cute and compact is not reliable.
Exactly. They were probably seduced by the charm, but left dealing with the breakdowns.
So what were the main issues that plagued the 500L? What made it such a lemon?
Models from 2014 to 2017 are particularly notorious for, you guessed it, transmission failures and engine stalling.
Transmission problems again. It seems like a recurring theme in this automotive horror show.
It does, doesn't it?
And what about safety? How did the 500L do in crash tests?
It didn't completely bomb, but it does lack some of the advanced safety features that have become standard in many modern cars.
Right, safety technology has advanced so much in recent years. It's kind of surprising that a relatively recent car like the 500L wouldn't be equipped with those features. And I understand there were some recalls as well.
Oh, yes. The 500L was recalled for, a range of issues. Airbags, fuel leaks, suspension defects. It seems like they were constantly trying to patch things up.
So the Fiat 500L, a car that might have been appealing on the surface, but ultimately proved to be unreliable and potentially unsafe. All right, let's move on to our runner-up at number 2, the GMC Sierra 1500. Now, this is a truck that's supposed to be all about, durability and
The
dependability.
Sierra, yes, a popular choice in the full-size truck market. But even the workhorses can stumble sometimes.
What went wrong with the Sierra? Which years should potential buyers be wary of?
Models from 2014 to 2019 have been reported to have, well, a range of issues. Transmission failures, engine troubles, faulty electronics. Some owners have even reported problems with steering components, which is obviously a big safety concern, especially in a large truck.
Steering problems in a truck. Yeah, and that's not something you want to experience, especially if you're hauling a heavy load. And weren't there some pretty significant recalls as well?
There were, yes, the Sierra 1500 has been recalled for some pretty major issues, including brake system failures and fire risks associated with the engine block heater.
Brake failures and fire risks. Yikes, that's enough to make anyone think twice. And what about fuel efficiency? Is the Sierra 1500 as thirsty as some of its competitors?
It can be, yeah, averaging around 17 miles per gallon. Not exactly a fuel sipper.
So it seems like you're paying a price at the pump as well as at the repair shop. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for the number one car to avoid the ultimate lemon, and it is the Mitsubishi Mirage.
The Mirage, this one might not come as a surprise to some people. It has a reputation for being, well, cheap.
And in this case, you get what you pay for.
Exactly. It's like the fast food of the car world. Tempting at first, but you might regret it later.
So what are the biggest complaints about the Mirage? What makes it the king of the lemons?
Well, where do we even begin? That three-cylinder engine, it's weak, noisy, prone to vibrations. The acceleration is sluggish. The handling is clumsy. And the interior, let's just say it's not exactly luxurious.
Doesn't sound like a fun car to drive at all.
Not really. And how did it do in crash tests? Not well. It didn't fare well in the IHS small overlap crash test, which is a major red flag when it comes to safety. And there have been numerous recalls to address problems with airbags, brakes, you name it.
So airbag issues, brake problems, a poorly performing engine. It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It does, a bit. And you know what? Mitsubishi is actually discontinuing the Mirage in the U.S. market.
Really? Wow. I guess even they couldn't deny its lemon status any longer.
I guess not. So there you have it, the Mitsubishi Mirage, our undisputed champion of cars to avoid.
It's a good reminder that a low price tag can sometimes come with some very high costs in the long run.
A valuable lesson indeed. Going through all these cars, it's hard not to notice some patterns.
Oh, like what? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, one thing that really jumps out is just how many transmission problems we've seen.
Yeah, it's like a recurring nightmare in the automotive world.
It makes you wonder, about the quality control, the engineering that goes into these transmissions. Are they cutting corners to keep costs down? Or is it something else?
Right, a faulty transmission is more than just an inconvenience. It can be a safety hazard, and the repair bills can be astronomical.
Exactly. And another thing that struck me is just how many of these problematic cars come from brands that, well, you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, we've seen luxury brands, mainstream brands, even a few that are known for their ruggedness and dependability.
It just goes to show that you can't always judge a car by its badge or its price tag.
A shiny exterior doesn't always mean a reliable engine.
Exactly. And speaking of price tags, it's interesting to note that the issues aren't limited to any particular price point.
Right, we've seen budget cars, mid-range vehicles, and luxury SUVs all struggling with reliability and safety concerns. It's like a level playing field of potential problems.
It is.
So, what's the takeaway here for car buyers? How can they protect themselves from ending up with 11?
Well, I think the key is to be proactive. Do your research. Don't just fall in love with a car based on its looks or features. Dig a little deeper.
Yeah, it's like dating. You got to look beyond the surface.
Exactly. Consult independent sources like Consumer Reports, read owner reviews, get a sense of what real-world experiences have been like.
It's like doing a background check on a potential roommate. You want to know what you're getting into.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to walk away from a deal if you have any doubts. There are plenty of other cars out there.
Lots of fish in the sea, as they say. Or in this case, cars on the lot. And if you're considering a used car, getting a pre-purchase inspection from a trusted mechanic is a must.
Absolutely. Consider it an investment in peace of mind.
So we've covered a lot of ground today. Engine failures, transmission troubles, safety recalls, you name it. It's enough to make you want to swear off cars altogether and just walk everywhere.
I know, right? But I think there's still hope for the automotive industry.
I agree. As technology continues to evolve and consumer expectations rise, I'm optimistic that we'll see a greater emphasis on reliability and durability.
I hope so. But in the meantime, it's up to us, the consumers, to be vigilant and informed.
Absolutely. We need to hold manufacturers accountable and demand better quality and reliability from the cars we're buying.
I couldn't agree more.
And speaking of being informed, here's a final thought provoking question for everyone to ponder as we wrap up our deep dive. How has the rise of electric vehicles impacted traditional car reliability? Is there a correlation? Are EVs inherently more or less reliable than gas powered cars?
Ooh, that's a great question. And it really highlights the fact that the automotive world is in constant flux. What's considered reliable today might not be tomorrow, so staying informed and adaptable is more important than ever.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into cars to avoid. Thank you for joining us on this wild ride through the world of automotive mishaps. We hope you learned a thing or two, and most importantly, that you'll use this knowledge to make smart and informed decisions when it's time for your next car purchase.
Happy driving, everyone. Remember, an informed car buyer is a happy car buyer.